Welcome to the Essential Space. Today we are joined by Jake Minot for a three-part series on floor care training. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning.
So Jake, let's get right into it and discuss some of the floor finish basics. Can you start by telling us some of the great differences between these?
Yeah, so when you really kind of break it down at a rudimentary level, when you look at a floor finish, basically what you have polymers, which is in today's world is kind of a fancy word for a plastic of sort. You have polymers that are held together by a crosslink, which is usually a metal zinc crosslink. Back in the old days, and you still hear this a lot today, when people talk about floor finishes, you'll hear people calling it wax. So you'll wax and strip a floor, or you'll put, a certain type of wax on the floor. And back in the old days, we would put actual waxes and resins on the floor. Carnauba wax was a popular one because it was a really hard wax, so it could stand up to some traffic, but it was also pliable enough to where it could be heated up and kind of resurfaced. You could pull the scratches out. But since then, technology has advanced rapidly, especially in this industry, and we now have what's known as thermoplastics, which is what the polymers of today are. They're thermoplastics. And when you look at those, you really have two types. You have acrylics and you have urethanes. So the differences in those are acrylics are going to be extremely hard, extremely durable polymers that can really take a beating and will last the longest. The problem is once they do get some damage, you get some scratches, you get some deep scuff marks. Because these polymers are extremely hard, they're also difficult to heat up and remove scratches. Once they scuff, you really have to kind of take them off and start again. There's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde there. You've got really good durability, but you don't have really good repairability. So the other type is urethanes, and urethanes are going to be softer polymers. The benefit to the urethanes is that they don't walk off the floor. They stick to the floor really well. Now, the gloss will die down on urethane fortified finishes faster than, let's say, an all acrylic finish. But as soon as you put a burnisher on that and hit it with that high speed and that heat, it makes the urethane polymers pliable again. So it pulls out the scratches, but it also raises the gloss and restores it to really like you just laid a fresh coat of floor finish down. So that's basically the two types. Acrylic are durable but not repairable. Urethanes are not very durable but extremely repairable.
So when you say not so durable, they're not as durable as the acrylic, but they do hold up, correct?
For sure. And let me clarify that a little bit. Thank you for bringing that up. When I say not as durable, really, when you're looking at a floor finish, what I mean by that is how long the gloss lasts. So a urethane floor finish, urethane fortified, the gloss is going to get beat down quicker. But as soon as you put a burnisher on that, it's going to come back to brand new. So the polymer itself is durable in that it will last an extremely long time, but the gloss will die quicker.
Okay, wonderful. So we're talking about the differences between acrylics and urethanes. Let's talk about some of the myths that happen and that are out there about floor finish.
Yeah, so the biggest myth that I hear is it's one of those it kind of sounds like common sense, but it's kind of counterintuitive here. You would think when you hear the percent solids of floor finish, so the buzzword right now is everybody wants a 25% solid floor finish. And their understanding is the higher your solid count, the more durable and the longer lasting that floor finish is. And that's just not true. I'm going to shout out one of our reps here, Chris Gossett. I've heard him many times when we're sitting in meetings and people bring this up. They'll say, well, I need a 25% solid finish because it's harder, it's more durable, it's a better finish than, let's say, a 20% solid finish. And his famous line is, well, you can get a ribeye at Denny's too, but who wants to do that? So it's more about what's in the product versus the solids of the product. What dictates hardness in a floor finish is not how high the solids are. What dictates hardness in a finish is the production process, the manufacturing process. It's how long you cook the polymer, how much you heat it up, how hot you get it, how fast you spin it. There's all these different things that happen that dictate hardness, and solids isn't one of them. The percent solids, basically what that means is, let's say we put a coat of floor finish down on the floor. Once that coat is dried and everything has flashed off, everything has evaporated out, let's say it's a 25% solid finish, you're basically left with 25% plastic left on the floor. So when you first put the coat down, you're at 100%. 75% of what's in that finish is going to evaporate off. It's going to flash off. There's a bunch of water in floor finish. There's some surfactant, there's leveling agents, there's all this stuff that makes the finish do what it does. But if you're using a 25% solid finish, 75% of what you put on the floor is going to evaporate off. So what you're left with is 25% quote unquote plastic on the floor. And then the rule of thumb is we always try to build our floors to at least 100%. So if you've got a 25% solid finish, you want at least 4 coats on that floor. 20% solid finish, you want at least 5 coats. So that's where solids comes into play. It's how many coats of finish you have to put down to get to that kind of benchmark 100% level.
So I learned something really interesting the other day, and this was just kind of a different take on the same subject. Nowadays, everybody wants to eliminate water. Let's take water out of everything. Let's go to the concentrate. Why do we have water in things to keep them going? Why don't we just eliminate it? So what I learned the other day was that the reason that you have water, surfactants, and different things in the finish is to promote the product, to actually make it so that it does the things that we need it to do. Now, you said that this makes it so you have better adherence, but I also know with the water and the surfactants, the laying down of the floor is much easier. If we didn't have any water in there, it'd be like taking a solid piece of plastic and throwing it on the floor, and it wouldn't adhere, nor would it spread. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, for sure. We call water the great activator. So if you took a lot of the water out of the floor finishes, you would basically be putting toothpaste on the floor and trying to spread that around. And you know how viscous toothpaste is. So that's what it does. It lets it not be too viscous to where you can't work with the product.
Jake, this was a great discussion on some of the floor finish basics. We look forward to continuing this discussion and talking about how to select a floor care program. If anyone has any questions or would like to get more information on this, let us know on our LinkedIn, or you can always go to www.essind.com. And we look forward to seeing you next time as we discuss selecting a floor care program.